It's a huge privilege to join you in this important conference to discuss the 1988 massacre in Iran, a tragedy that Amnesty International described as an ongoing crime against humanity in its powerful and disturbing report entitled Iran, Blood-Soaked Secrets. Now, this is a matter on which I wrote to our Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, earlier this month. And I said to him, the Foreign Office is aware that almost 3 decades ago, close to 30,000 political prisoners were executed extrajudicially in prisons across Iran over a few weeks in the summer. These executions were documented in detail by the former UN Special Rapporteur in Iran, the late Asma Jahangir, in her annual report to the UN General Assembly on the situation on human rights in Iran in August 2017. There's also ample evidence, independent NGO reports and testimonies from eyewitnesses and survivors, proving that these mass executions were ordered and sanctioned by the highest authority in Iran at the time. Furthermore, many current senior officials and ministers in Iran were members of the so-called death commissions responsible for carrying out and supervising the killings. And it should be noted that the Amnesty International report made special reference to the country's current chief of judiciary, Ebrahim Raisi, and the Justice Minister, Alireza Avaei. Now, these facts not only lay bare the international community's inexplicable failure to uphold international law that was enacted specifically to prevent genocide and massacres, but also highlights a worrying culture of impunity for serious human rights abuses in Iran. And colleagues, there will be no end to human rights violations if perpetrators are rewarded and promoted rather than facing prosecution, as would appear to be the case in relation to the 1988 massacre. Annual resolutions adopted by the UN General Assembly and the UN Human Rights Council since at least 2011, which are fully supported by the United Kingdom, have all condemned the Iranian authorities for far less serious crimes than the 1988 massacre, which many prominent human rights lawyers and advocates consider to be one of the worst crimes in post-war history. Baroness Boothroyd, our great former Speaker of the House of Commons, has said that the 1988 massacre of political prisoners is the greatest unpunished crime against humanity since World War II. I have therefore urged our Foreign Secretary and the Foreign and Commonwealth Office to take the initiative at the United Nations and work with our international allies to make sure that this year's adopted resolution on Iran includes a paragraph calling for an independent international investigation into the 1988 massacre in order to establish the true extent of the crime, as well as a call to bring to justice those found responsible through prosecution in an international court. Without accountability for serious human rights abuses, which translate into the culture of impunity that I've already mentioned, all of our efforts to protect and promote human rights in Iran will be in vain. So I believe that it's time for the United Kingdom to live up to its respected international reputation and its obligations as an important global actor for the promotion of human rights and the rule of law, by making sure that the United Nations delivers the long overdue justice that the victims of the 1988 massacre and their families deserve. Thank you for listening to me.